back in 2017, I was on the set at a horse ranch in Malibu, California. It was one of those dream locations. I mean, this beautiful home, just a short distance from the beaches there in Malibu. It was just amazing. It had an incredible horse barn and riding arena. Anyway, there was a lot of downtime between shots, moving from the house to the barn, and we had reindeers, all the camera angles and setups and all the stuff, right? And during a little quiet moment, I had stepped aside and took a phone call from a longtime Santa Claus friend over in Hawaii. And we were talking shop. He was asking me some questions. We were talking about commercials and Santa appearances and a little bit about brand work, all that sort of thing. And he was asking questions, and I shared what I could from my own experience, things that I'd done. And then he said something that stuck with me ever since. And it hadn't dawned on me. I hadn't really thought about it. But he said, "Ed, you're the hardest working Santa Claus I've ever known." And that caught me off guard at first, for sure, because honestly, I had never thought of any of this as work, right? My Santa portrayal, every aspect of it was always so much fun, and it was just learning and doing new things. I mean, I spent a lot of time, I think, just in awe, just grateful for the amazing experiences that I was able to have as Santa, going on auditions and doing all this crazy stuff. But later, I reflected on the conversation, and I realized that from the outside looking in, he had a point, right? There were dozens and dozens of 12-hour drives between Oregon and Los Angeles, and there's all the hours, the days, the weeks, the months away from home. And when I was taking acting classes and improv workshops and going to auditions and everything I could learn about the entertainment industry and about Santa Claus portrayal. And of course, along the way, I was fortunate enough to book dozens and dozens of shoots. And from the outside, that all, I'm sure, looks like work. And of course, I've made hundreds of personal appearances as Santa as well. So yeah, I get it. From the outside, it probably does look like a lot of work. But from the inside, it's never been about work at all. And definitely not about working harder than anybody else. And since my late teens, I've lived by a pretty simple habit. I've always tried to do one more. I mean, not one more than the next guy, just one more than I had in me, right? Just wanted to really give it all I had. One more wheelbarrow full of bricks when I was working in the masonry business, and one more concrete slab jackhammered up when I was a jackhammer operator, or one more boat iced up when I was working on the docks, or another boat unloaded. But I remember once in my early 20s, kind of a funny story, but it kind of fits with all this. I really needed a job. And the boss at the fish house was telling me that he wasn't hiring. And I spotted a guy up in a truck leaning on a shovel rather than shoveling the ice. So I pointed at him and said, "Hey, if I outwork that guy, can I have his job?" Yes, I get it. It was a bit cocky, right? Maybe even a little outlined. But in that environment at that time, it worked. The boss looked at me and said, "Hey, punch in." And for what it's worth, I did outwork Don. From then on, I think he was the shovel leaner, but we both ended up working on at that job there for the next couple of years. Tired, sore, it never mattered to me. I always just wanted to do one more, to do that little bit extra. And when the Santa years came around, right, all the years later, many, many years later, that part of me came right along with it. Right? One more rehearsal, one more video call, one more Santa visit, one more smile, right? One more story to tell, one more moment of joy to bring. It's been my approach, not to compete, but because it's just who I am. So here's my message to you. If there's something on your heart, right, a goal, a vision, a calling, whatever it might be that person who keeps going, the one who finishes and does a little bit more, the one who always says and does one more. That's where, at least for me, that's where the growth happens. It's where the breakthroughs show up. You get to that next level, and where I found personally contentment. Anyway, so here's to being jolly and kind, serving with purpose, and to each of us following our own true north pole.